Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. I hope you guys have had a sensational week. This is week 2 of January 2017, and so a lot of my patients have been doing cleansing and just feeling absolutely remarkable. Their energy levels up and high and very motivating. So it's always exciting when we have a new year and we get motivated to do these wonderful cleanses. And so today I'm going to be doing a fantastic traditional Albondiga soup, which is a Mexican meatball soup. So for those of you who are out there doing cleanses, you do not want to break your fast with this. So I always tell patients that, usually my patients are doing anywhere between 5 and 10 days of cleansing, regardless what kind of cleanse it is, whether it's a master cleanser, bone broth, or colon cleansing, or a multiple of different cleanses together, that you always want to spend at least 3 days easing yourself back into food. So we would not introduce meat until about the 3rd day or 4th day off of a cleanse. So we're going to start out with some just ground turkey. Now you can use ground chicken as well. Mostly traditionally they use ground beef in Mexico, but I like to use the turkey. We're going to add 1 organic free-range egg, and so I'm going to just pop that in there. Okay, then meanwhile, while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and put the broth. Now, bone broth, if you make it yourself, is always going to have more nutrition in it, a lot of minerals, the MSM, the chondroitin, all of the fantastic minerals that we can get out of these bones. But when you don't have your own bone broth, you can use some nice organic chicken or turkey. You can use some chicken or turkey stock. So this is always really handy to have. I'm going to put 34 ounces of that in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. We're going to add some jalapeno peppers. So again, you guys all know if you've been watching my show that I like a little kick, a little spice. So, I kind of nibble at the end of it. It's not super chili, so again, it's kind of nice. If you want to just go ahead and add a little more chili, I would get the little smaller chilies. Sometimes the jalapenos aren't really that hot, and the habaneros are a little bit better. So I've got a whole jalapeno in there, and I'm going to put this is a white onion, and it was quite large, so it brought me about 2 cups. So about 3/4 of the cup I'm going to go ahead and put in there now. So I'm starting this because I want to get the onions, I want to get the broth going before we make these albondigas, so that we can drop it in there as well. Let's see here. So this is some fire roasted tomatoes that I like to get at Trader Joe's with a little green chili. And again, it's really nice. I just leave it chunked like that because I want to get, the texture of this food is going to have different vegetables in it as well. So now the albondigas are traditional, but what I'm putting in is not necessarily traditional in regards to the vegetables that I'm using. We're going to keep this very low carbohydrate. I'm going to explain how you can turn this into a ketogenic as well, rather than just doing it the traditional way. So for those people who have decided not to have any grains at all this month, I'm going to show you how you can do it the other way as well. So let's get that going there. All right. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mix up this egg in here. Now what I've done is I have minced some onion. So part of that 1 whole onion, I took about 1/3 of the onion and I minced it up. And it's really quite fine because I don't want it to be chunky, but I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in here. I'm going to add some cilantro. So about 2 tablespoons of that in there as well. I'm going to throw this oregano, which is fresh out of my garden. And if you don't have fresh, you can just go ahead and use dried oregano, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw that in the soup as well. Okay, I'm going to put some mint in here. Now this is kind of traditional that you use mint with the albondiga soup. I, again, chop that really fine. I'm going to put about, I'd say 1.5 tablespoons of that in there. Now at this point, this would be considered a ketogenic meatball, okay? And so I think what we'll do is we will take some out here. so you can see the difference, because what the rice does, I'm going to put a little bit of organic basmati white rice in it. Now the thing about rice is it is a high carbohydrate, so I said this is a low carb. This way would not be a paleo or a ketogenic because it does have grains in it, but we're going to put so very little of it, and what it does is it expands the meatball to be really nice and fluffy. And so we'll do it two ways, one without it so that you can kind of see what the texture is, and then one with it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little of this out of here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this, and we can make those separately. We'll just make a few just so that you can have an example of what it looks like and that it does stick together nicely enough, but I want to give you the traditional style. Now, as you can see here, this is very little bit of rice. So really it's the palm of my hand. That's 1.5 tablespoons of basmati white rice. Now, we're going to make quite a bit of meatballs with this, so honestly this whole meal, which is really considered a full meal because it's going to have everything, and it's going to have the protein, it's going to have the vegetables in it, so really this could be a meal unto itself. And so the whole carbohydrates is going to be somewhere maybe around at the maximum amount, and that's really kind of shooting over about 15 carbohydrates. So for those of you who are really trying to slim down your waistline, I would say anywhere between 12 to 15 carbohydrates for women and about 20 to 25 for men. So this still keeps you in a nice slim trim waistline. Okay, so I'm going to get that just like that. Okay, I'm going to get a little lid here. It's starting to look good here, getting warm. So you want to get this to about a simmer, because we're going to drop the meatballs in there, and then the actual heat is going to cook them very nicely. I'm going to get a little, because I want to do this separate with the ones without the meat, so I'm going to get a little pan to put on here as well. Use this one here. So when we move everything else, we'll get that started. I'm going to grab a little lid here, because I forgot the lid. Nice thing about your kitchen is you want everything to be really handy everywhere. So I've got everything set up nicely, so it doesn't take me too much effort. So I'm going to go ahead and make these little meatballs. So I just kind of use a little scooper. So this is just basic, an ice cream scooper. I'm going to go ahead and drop these in just one at a time. What's really nice about this soup, it's done really very quickly, and it can last for, you know, a good dinner, a good lunch. Sometimes people say, well, what could I have for breakfast? It's wintertime, and since we're not going to eat oatmeal, I say, why not have that soup that you made? So really you could have it for dinner, you could have it for lunch, and you could have it for breakfast if you don't get sick of it, but it's kind of nice in the winter to have something really warm. So since we don't do cereals, and we don't do pancakes, and we don't do any carbs on a keto or modified low carbohydrate diet, so again, we're always looking for warm food in the winter because our body's looking for things that are metabolically you know, creating fire in us, and this is why everybody is looking for oatmeal or things that are hot on the cold winter days, because your body's looking for something that's going to be a little bit more metabolically active. So next time I'm going to do a breakfast food, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do a really good low carbohydrate oatmeal, and it's going to have all the protein to balance it out, a lot of fiber in it, and really tasty. So I tell my patients they don't have to give up oatmeal, but what we have to do is we have to create a balance so that it's all stable in terms of its blood sugar capacity. So we've got enough carbohydrates, enough protein to balance out the carbohydrates, and enough fats in there, enough fiber to make it a really satisfying meal, and everybody gets to have their enjoyment of having their oatmeal, which during the winter everybody seems to really, really enjoy. Okay, so this going. So we started the class this week on transformation, total transformation, and it's really been fun. And we did our affirmations in regards to the new year. We did a gratitude jar, and everybody was, it was really interesting because everybody, I had about 5 or 6 young adults there, right, you know, under 30, between 21 and about 25. And what was really exciting, so it was really quite a span from, early 20s to, I'd say, late 60s. And it was so diverse in terms of the population. But what's really cool is everybody gets life. It doesn't matter what age you are, but we were just talking about how to increase our vibrational frequency so that we can remain in gratitude, so that we can get up to that level of joy and into that level of love, which is where all healing starts. And we were talking about how, interestingly, we are all made to feel like there's something is wrong with us. Whether we're too skinny, we're too fat, we're too short, we're not tall enough, or we're too tall, we're not enough. And so what happens is we end up dwelling on those things rather than looking at what we do have that is good. We have two great legs and arms to move around, to get things done. We've got a mind. We've got the ability to create community. So many things that we take for granted. And because I work at a facility where there's a lot of people who aren't able to cook their own meals. There's a lot of people who aren't able to get out of bed and do the things they would like to do. And so when you bring, the, I don't want to say comparison, but when you are in recognition of taking things for granted, you really step forward and say, okay, right here, right now, how am I feeling? So in 2017, if you can take inventory with yourself and just really ask yourself on a daily basis how you feel. And if you're not feeling so great, then take a moment to say, what am I in gratitude of? And so you'll begin to shift your reality into being more present than in the future of what I can have or what I should have. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in there. So those are fantastic. Just going to let this steam a bit. I am going to turn this up just a tad. Okay, excellent. Now we've got these ones over here. Now, it's really easy for me to forget things sometimes. So with this one here, like I did last week, I'm going to put just a little teeny bit of chipotle powder. So you can do this as well. A lot of times I don't use garlic because I have a little sulfa issue. But for those of you, it's a great way to help your body detox. It's a sulfa agent that helps the liver. And so as much garlic as you can use, onions you can use, that would be really, really good. All right, so I'm just going to make a few meatballs. Let's go ahead and get some more of this broth started, because I want you to see the difference. So you can say, oh, well, she made those beautiful Mexican albondigas, but yeah, they had rice in them. But we don't know what it's going to look like when we just have no rice in it at all. It's going to be just as good. So we're going to make a little example today. So let's move that. I'm going to put a little teeny bit of tamari in here as well. So again, you can do a lot of stuff. This is not traditional. The tamari is not traditional for albondigas. The chipotle is not traditional for albondigas. So we're kind of making this a little bit untraditional, but it's kind of fun. Now you can also use Bragg's liquid amino acids as well. I'm going to put just a little teeny bit of pepper in here. So we're going to give this just a little bit more zing to it here with that little chipotle sauce. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring that here. I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way. So when we have a gratitude jar, I tell patients it doesn't do you any good if you don't put your slips in there. And so I said there is no exception at all. So every day when you wake up, what am I grateful for? Every night when I go to bed, what am I grateful for? And again, you don't need to be in a race with whoever it is you're doing with your partner. My partner and I have completely different jars in regards to how many slips we have in there. And so it's not a judgment at all. It's just that we want to be in the presence of our remembering, and that keeps us again in a state of being really present. So again, you got your gratitude jars. Look at them every day and make sure that you're putting the slips in there, because they can very easily slip your mind, and then 2 days go by and there's no gratitude in there at all. All right, so we'll get that going there. All right, so I'm going to let this go for a few minutes just so that we can get the albondigas just slightly cooked, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the carrots, because they're going to take a little teeny bit longer, and then I'm going to add the zucchini, the celery, then the green beans, and then the zucchini at the very end, because we want to keep this al dente as possible so that we can still maintain as much minerals as we can in there. Okay, how are we going? So I'm going to give this a little stir with my wonderful spoon that you guys all know I love. Okay, that is looking pretty good. We'll let that go. So what I decided to do while all this is cooking, because it's always nice to have something raw when you're using cooked foods, and so we're going to make a really nice, very simple salad to go along with this for dinner tonight. And I'm going to do a zesty lemon dressing, and lemon is very traditional Mexican food. I probably go through about 24 lemons a week, honestly, if I'm not using it for lemon water in the morning. I'm using it for lemonades throughout the day, but a lot of my dressings are lemon. Just because it's very cleansing and very alkalining to the body. So while this is all cooking, I'm going to show you how to make a really fantastic, very simple, very easy salad dressing. A lot of my patients are always asking me, don't you know of a salad dressing that I can just buy in the store? Well, there's plenty of them that you can buy in the store, but really what you want is something that you know that not only you've made with a lot of love in it, but that has really good oil and really good ingredients. So a lot of them say, you know, zero fat. We're not looking for zero fat. Fat is really important on a cellular level to create good hormones. But I always tell my patients the fat, as you notice here, I didn't saute any of the vegetables. I'm cooking everything without any fat at all, and at the very end I'd like to just top it off with a little bit of avocado. If I want to drizzle in a little bit of coconut oil in there as well, just to bring up a little bit more calories in terms of what we call ketogenic type of calories that burns like a sugar and is a really good fuel for the brain. But for those of you who want to lose weight, we don't need to add that extra fat. So I like to add my fats after I've cooked. So the avocado, maybe a little bit of oil that I might drizzle in there. But the salad dressing always has good quality olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these in there. So these I'm going to make a teeny bit smaller than I made the other ones. So you can see they're just a nice little palm size there. And of course you can make these as big as you want, but I don't like to sit there and have to use a fork and knife when I'm having soup. I like to just, you know, be able to plop it in my mouth and or one little, you know, dice to my spoon and not have to tear it completely apart. Most all the time when I make soup, I cut everything into very small pieces so I don't have to take so much effort to chew. I always find it a lot easier and a lot tastier when I cut them into smaller pieces, and they cook a lot faster too, and you can still retain a lot of the minerals when you do that. Okay. So let's let all of this go here. I'm going to have a quick look at this. This is looking absolutely fantastic. Beautiful color. Staying together. I just wanted to kind of just show you so far at this part. They're just kind of cooking really nicely. So I'm going to put the lid on that. I'm going to go ahead and put the celery in there. That was exactly 4 celery. And so again, celery is super low carbohydrates. It's got a lot of water in it, a lot of potassium. Just fantastic. I'll wait on the green beans for a second or two. So let's go ahead and start the salad dressing. I am going to, hopefully, should I bring it over here so you can see it a little bit better, or can you see it over here on this side?
See it.
Okay. So if we can see it on this side, might make it a little easier. So I'm going to put a large tablespoon of Dijon mustard. This is the trick here. You got to have enough Dijon mustard to give it that richness. I'm going to use a whole lemon because I like it this is a zesty lemon. This is usually for a lime squeezer when we make our margaritas, but I use it as a lemon squeezer as well. And again, you know, I like things that really have a lot of flavor to them, so this is really nice and lemony. So you can see here, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, it's still kind of a teeny bit watery. I'm gonna go ahead and add a dash more of the Dijon mustard. This is gonna make quite a bit. So what's nice about this is that you can make this and it can last in the refrigerator for a good 5 days. And so like most of my patients, they're bringing their lunch to work every day. So it makes it really nice when they can have salad dressing ready to go and put it in their little salad dressing jars, and it's really pretty great. Okay, so that's about the consistency we're looking for right about there. I'm gonna go ahead and add good quality olive oil. So this is about a cup here, so let's see what we need. And then of course you want to whisk this towards you. And I always tell patients or people when I'm teaching them to cook is that salad dressing can be finicky. If you're not careful, it can separate. But I have a trick to fixing that too. So believe me, I have come across every disaster you can possibly imagine, turning it back into perfection. So again, never be afraid that you're going to do something wrong. Just have a good time and have some fun. So you got to drizzle this slowly. If you just dump it in, it's going to potentially separate, so we don't want to do that. And again, as I'm stirring this, I'm putting energy into this. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the beautiful yellow color of it, and knowing that my family are going to be nourished by this food. It's going to be delicious, but I put my own energy in here, so it's going to have that extra special healing element to it that is so wonderful. So you can see here that it's starting to thicken nicely. I'm going to add a little bit more, so probably about 3/4 of a cup is usually what I use. So let's see how we go. Now, of course, now this is fantastic because you can use this as a base for a million things. Today I'm going to add dill weed to it. You can add oregano, you can add basil to this, you can add tarragon to this. So you can add a variety of spices and turn it into different dressings. It's fantastic. I also like to use this when I make salmon, only I don't add nearly this oil. I would add the whole big heaping tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and I would add probably about no more than a 1/3 cup of oil and a ton of garlic and a ton of fresh dill. And I would, and lots and lots and lots and lots of garlic. And I would let that marinate for about 20 minutes, and then I would broil it skin side up, and oh my gosh, it's just absolutely fantastic. So this is a base that I use for a lot of dressings and a lot of marinades as well. Okay. So now you can see the consistency of this is really pretty darn nice. You want to get the oil mixed in there really, really good. Perfect. Now, let's go ahead and have a look over here at everything. Those look perfect. And it's beautiful because see, now you can see that you don't have to add rice. So if you're on a paleo this week or a ketogenic diet, you can totally have this wonderful Albondiga soup. Traditionally, you saw how they were made. These I kind of made them a little bit more specialty with a little bit of chipotle, a little bit of garlic in there as well, a little bit of tamari. So you can kind of play around with it. I'm going to go ahead and add the green beans. And I'm going to add the carrots. Just beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a little bit of black pepper over here and a little bit of salt and then some nice garlic. Add probably about, I'd say, start out with 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You can correct it as you go. A pretty good heaping of dill. Now I'm going to salt the soup, so I don't like to have too much salt. So if you want to add salt to the albondigas, you can. I did put that in the recipe, but since we're not having so much salt, I'm just going to add it to the soup, and it should pick up the flavor really nicely. Okay, let's add a couple of garlics to this. Where are my garlics? They're right here. Everybody's got to have a garlic press. Can't live without a garlic press. Again, these are a sulfa agent, so this is really good for detoxification. I'm not going to put a terrible amount because I'm a little sulfa sensitive, but it still gives it enough flavor. you want to look at this is that if it coats the back of the spoon nicely, just like that, then it's pretty good consistency. So let's have a little taste of that. Pretty darn good for the first time. All right, excellent. So that is ready to rock and roll for our wonderful salad dressing. Let's set that there. Oh. Okay, how are we going here? Everything is looking really good. So now obviously if you were making this paleo, you would make it exactly how we're doing it. You would add all the vegetables, just exactly what we did, only the meatballs would be a little bit different because we would not add the rice to them. But as you can see here, they are holding together really nicely. Let me show you. So there's absolutely no reason why you have to add the rice. So again, rice is an expansive food. We put very, very little in here. So even if you have those 2 tablespoons of rice, it's still going to equate to maybe 15 carbohydrates. Without the rice, you're probably going to have somewhere between I'd say with all the vegetables, somewhere about 10 to 12 carbohydrates, which fits really well in a modified ketogenic diet. So that would work for really good weight loss. Right, we're going pretty darn good here. So one of the things that we'll be doing in the total transformation is really working on cleansing. And when we're talking about cleansing, I'm not just talking about our bodies. I'm talking about our emotions as well. So next week we're going to be talking about the first emotional center, and the first emotional center is red. And so everything that goes with that area, we call that the first chakra. It's the chakra of survival, the chakra of foundation. And so it's going to be fun because we'll be introducing not only a questionnaire in regards to answering some questions so that we give them an idea what emotional centers are out, but also too the foods that will irritate it, the foods that will heal it, and also looking at it on an emotional level on a weekly basis when we're eating these foods that are going to be of red color incorporated in with our foods. Tomatoes for their lycopene, and maybe some raspberries or some strawberries, small amount into their protein shakes in the morning, some red bell pepper, cayenne, anything that is incorporating those reds to create more vitality. And so it's very important to kind of think about, when you're thinking about transformation, we're looking at all aspects. When you're thinking about detox, it's just not the body. It's also letting go of rigid beliefs or anything that really is limiting you in some way of really being in that state of happiness all the time. We live in a world right now where there is abundance all around us. We can have whatever we want 24 hours a day. We can get on the computer and order it 24 hours a day. So there is no lack. It's just a fake sense of lack and limitation. So when we recognize that, we don't feel like we have to go out and have it, because we're not in lack. We're in abundance, so that it's all around us all the time. And so it's really nice to be able to share my new class with my patients, because I always say I teach what I need to learn most. And so like all of us, there's no difference. We're all in a state of transition, moving from one place to another in our lives. We can't go back to a fetus state, so it's transformation as we move forward. But how are we going to do it gracefully so that we can really get the nectar out of life, out of every moment, so that we have conversations with people. We're not talking about the things that aren't happy with us. And I tell patients and my friends and my family, let's reserve that for a very small circle, those people who really love you like your family, who will really listen to you, or a very, very close friend, but not to really bring it into a circle where there is a lot of people or at a party, because it creates a toxicity. And although everybody will be very polite and listen to you about your woes, but it puts a dampness. And so again, try to always think about, well, I can be in compassion, I can completely understand, but let's see if I can shift you into a more positive mindset and a more positive conversation. And so if we can keep remembering that what we potentially are trying to relieve, we want to look at it in the sense that we don't want to, give it to someone else, but what we want to look at it in reality is it really a false belief that we're looking at in terms of the things that we might be complaining about. In Orange County, I see this a lot because we live in a society here where there's so much perfection all around us in regards to the way people are expected to look, their bodies, the way they act, and everybody wants to stay as young as possible. Me too, I do too. I'm going to be 60 in October, and so of course I do everything I possibly can, but at the same time, we don't want that to be the center of who we are. And so I always say, you know, look deep within yourself and who is that person that's shining forward, because honestly, that's what we all see. We don't see the outside, and you know, we can't hold on to the outside beauty all our life, but we can hold on to the inside beauty, and that's really, really what matters. Okay, let's have a look here. We are doing really good here. We're going to give those carrots a second, and these are doing fantastic. And so again, look at how beautiful that is. That has held together really nicely. There is absolutely no carbohydrates in this. It's going to have a little kick to it because it's got that chipotle in it. Slight little Asian flavor with that gluten-free tamari. So that's going to be fun. I'm just going to turn that down. I'm going to go ahead and add the zucchini now. So honestly, this whole soup doesn't take very long. Probably from start to finish, I'd say like 30 minutes or so. That looks so pretty. I love color. And I love to be able to have an all-in-one meal. I mean, how easy is this if you make it and then you come home the next night and you heat it up and boom, you're ready to rock and roll. It's warm, it's soothing, it's cold outside. You know, it's really cozy and comforting. So make some soup every week. I like making Albondiga soup or chicken soup or fish chowder because it's really satisfying, and again, it lasts nicely in the refrigerator for a couple of days. And I always say, you know, soup reminds you of mommy. So when you had a good mom, she made some good soups. Okay, how are we going here? So I'm gonna let that move over here. We'll keep that going. Let's just put a really quick salad together. So I've just got some really nice baby greens here. So again, I'm gonna make it as simple as possible. So since we've already got carrots and zucchinis and green beans and onions, we don't want to do too much more carbohydrates. So I've got some low carbohydrates here. So we've got some, just some cucumbers, some cherry tomatoes, and a little bit of red onion. I'm just gonna put that in there nicely. Let's just put the whole thing in there. Give it a little whirl here. So this is kind of what my salads look like most nights. I have, I love to do fennel, I love to do bell pepper, but kind of depending on what I'm doing with my other dish. In terms of the carbohydrate content, I keep it pretty balanced as much as possible. All right, so that is ready to go. Okay, excellent. So I am going to bring this over here for a second. That will be our soup. We're going to put one of each in there so that you can kind of get the texture of it when I open this up. Actually, right now what I will do is I'll take one of these out. They're nice and firm. Let's give it a little cut and let's see how it turned out. So that stays together nicely, so I like that. Let's have a little taste. A little hot. Excellent. No carbs at all. So that's awesome. Paleo people, this is awesome. Ketogenic, this is going to be a winner for you. That chipotle gave that little teeny bit of spice, so that was really, really nice. Excellent. How are we doing over here? I'm going to take a fork and see how those zucchini are. And if they're enough for me to put my knife in there, these are ready to go. Just say a second or two longer and we'll be good. So thank you guys so much for watching my show and putting your comments on it and sharing the videos. It really gives me a lot of encouragement that I'm putting out a good message. My patients really have been enjoying it, so thank you for watching. But make sure you hit like on there, make sure you hit share, because that increases our circle. I say now all my patients become ambassadors to health. So what you learn from me, what you learn from others, like, we want to share. We don't want to hold on to that. That's how we continue to spread the wealth of health, is to continue to give what we learn most. So again, thank you for your comments. I really enjoy them. And if you have any requests in regards of some meals that you would like me to, I'm choking on my chipotle there. Some recipes that you would like. If, you know, I try to do some vegan, some vegetarian, some paleo, so ketogenic. So we mix them in there. So if there's anything in particular, then please don't hesitate to send me a little message on Facebook, and I will be happy to do my best at creating that recipe for you, okay? I think we're going to be pretty good on this. I'm going to go ahead and serve this up. This is going to be warm, so now I just want to show you the meatballs here. Just going to take one out, okay? So that you kind of have an idea. Well, if in fact was there any difference at all whatsoever. So this one is just see how it's just a little teeny bit puffier. This one still retained it. It was a little smaller, kind of how I put it in, it stayed. But the one with rice just puffed out a little bit, so they're just a little lighter. And you can see the rice in there just a little bit. Let's have a taste of it. Perfect. Either way, great. My family are going to love that. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a teeny bit of salt. Because when I tasted that one, because I added tamari to this one, so it gave it just a little teeny bit more salt. So most of the time the broths have some salt unless you buy super low sodium, so I just kind of leave it like that. I'll let everybody else put the salt in as much as they want, but I'm going to add just a teeny bit. So I probably added about a half a teaspoon. And then again, I always have salt at the table, that way people can put what they like in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and serve this up. So usually what I do is I put 3 albondigas in a soup for a woman and 4 to 6 for a man. Let's go ahead and just top this off with a little teeny bit of parsley. Let's throw a little teeny bit of avocado in there for fun, just so we have a good little fat in there. And I chop it up just again so that's just a little easier for everyone to eat. They don't have to get out their fork and knife or do anything like that. So I put about 1/4 of an avocado in there. Awesome. Sometimes I like to garnish it with just a little teeny bit of lemon, so that if they want to give it a little twist, that's what they do in Mexico a lot of times. So there we go. That is beautiful. There we go. That's the soup. I'm going to add just a little bit of this wonderful salad dressing over here onto the salad. Actually, I'm going to put it in this bowl here, because I am going to a dinner party tonight, and I will be taking this wonderful salad, make it a little bit bigger, because my sister's making shrimp. I got inspired by the video last week, so she's making shrimp curry, and I'm bringing a great salad. That's one thing that's really nice about a family who cooks, is that you're always in celebration of really fine, beautiful food. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of the salad dressing on here. Awesome. I like to just give it a little bit of a twist here. And so usually I always put the salad dressing on the salad 99% of the time. So it just coats. You can just kind of see the nice little glistening it has, but you don't drench it. So you can still taste all the flavor to it. Awesome. Okay, let's have a taste of this beautiful salad. And again, it's just really nice and light because you've got a hearty soup over here. It's going to make you very satisfied, but then you've got your live enzymes here. Excellent. So It's got so much flavor and so much zest in it. It's gonna be a beautiful pair with the soup. All right, let's try this beautiful soup. And then again, you could take the lemon and you could squeeze it in there a bit. That's what I like to do. Is that gorgeous? It's beautiful. You got all the wonderful colors in there too. It's just wonderful. Let me get a little piece of that meat too. So again, you know, really experiment. I really liked that chipotle flavor in there, and I like the tamari. So I was trying to make traditional so you would have an idea, but I really enjoyed the tamari and the chipotle in there. So experiment with this. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Okay, let's have a beautiful go. Absolutely incredible. It melts in your mouth. It's so wonderful. So I hope you've enjoyed today's show. It's so much fun teaching you my love, my passion for food. Don't forget to share this with your family and friends. Don't forget to hit like, and I will see you guys next week. Have a sensational weekend.